So I woke up in a good mood recently, and I had a message on my Facebook comedy page. It was from a man in Slovakia. The message was simple. It said, "Hey, you suck and you look like a potato." Devastating to find out the real reason my Irish boyfriend's attracted to me. Text my boyfriend, upset, and he went, "The most beautiful potato I've ever seen." Went on for 4 months. He messaged me, he messaged my agent, he messaged a few comedians. The message was always the same. Fern Brady looks like a potato. Every time I told my friends, this is the worst thing. Anytime I told my friends, they all had the same answer. The answer was never, "It's okay, you don't look like a potato." They all said the same thing. Every single one of them went, "Oh, I love potatoes." That's how you know body positivity's gone too far. Just lie and say I don't look like a potato in a wig.
I parked my car. I don't know if this is a good indication of what people are like in Preston, but I parked my car outside of the venue, and as I walked into the venue, a man offered me anal sex. So I was late. I was going to say I'll tell you a bit about me, but I think I just have. It's lovely to be here, though. It's a nice temperature in here, isn't it? We'll get warmer as we go on, obviously the lights and whatnot. I respond in quite a peculiar way to the heat, I think, mostly sort of here. I realised I aimed that just at you guys in the front there, didn't I? Sorry about that. Hey, upstairs can have a go. There you go. Down there gets what I call claggy. Anybody else got a good word for that? Anybody else? Moist. Who said moist? Moist is a good word. What was that one? Sticky. Sticky. Oh, there was a lady the other day said, "What you've got there is LDF." I said, "What does LDF stand for?" She said, "Long Day Fanny." When I said claggy in Preston, a man said, "Oh no, we call that ready." But what I do when it gets moist and sticky, I just do a plie. I'm not a massive ballet dancer, but if I was a ballet dancer, I would clearly be a massive one. I just do that. You only get a couple of seconds relief because it mostly just slicks back together. I did a show in Edinburgh and a lady at the back of the room shouted out, "You need to use some talc." And I thought, surely that just forms a paste.
I finished porn. All of it, not some of it. I didn't just go certain genres. I thought, you know what? I'm going to knuckle down and finish it all. And I did. It was drenching work, but I did it. And here I am to tell you that straight people, you're sick. Because honestly, porn is a straight people's game. It's not for lesbians. But I thought, I want to go see what you are into. And you're sick, sick people. And horny too. There's no one more horny in the straight people category than step families. You know how horny step families are. You know, you filthy bastard. Step families come out horny. I started watching it and I thought, like, stepmothers are like washing machines from the 1980s. They take load after load after load. Just shake a little at the end and then there it goes. Yeah. Step-sisters, not very bright people. Everyone has to teach them a lesson. You know, because I do this job, so then I always get people who slide into my DMs, not with any dick pics or the decency of a nice pair of tits, no. I always get the requests going, "Hey, we're coming to your show tonight, and we're bringing the whole family." And I'm bringing someone that's really close to my heart that actually changed my life. And I was wondering if you could do a little shout out to my stepmom. I'm like, look, I'm not giving that whore a shout out. You take her home and stop fucking your stepbrother, all right?
Still no baby, still no pregnancy. We've actually done the fertility test. I don't know if anyone here's ever done fertility tests for women. They're quite expensive and invasive, but for dudes, pretty sick. Honestly, probably my favourite ever test. Because our test is we have to jizz in a cup. That's the test. Sorry, I said that wrong. We get to jizz in a cup. It felt like permission, you know? When my doctor was like, can you jizz in this cup? I was like, fucking oath, mate, let's go. Honestly, don't even worry about the Medicare rebate on this one. I'm happy for you to keep 100% of the cum, right? It's all yours. Run the test twice, knock yourself out. But I don't think I've ever seen fertility tests in American films where you take the test at a clinic, open the door, hand it to the nurse, thank you very much. But in Australia, you actually take fertility tests at home. So I was home, and I was just about to take the test, and my wife called me, and she was like, can I be there? And I was like, why? And she's like, because I want to make sure you're doing it right. I was like, I'm doing it right. You know, I've never been more confident about anything. In fact, sometimes you do it wrong. Like, that's how right I do it. I've never studied harder for a test. I take a practice exam every time she goes to Pilates, right? Like, I'm gonna nail this fucking test. Lock it in.
My son hates reading. Reading's boring, is what I tell him. I want to read. I try. I can never take in the words. I think I'm dyslexic, but I'm scared to get tested in case I'm not. I could never concentrate at school. I used to get kicked out of class all the time. I got suspended from school. I got caught smoking weed. 14 years of age. Me think me be a ganja man. Ganja man, skin up some fat reefer. Ganja man go house party. Ganja man spark up take huge talk like he be Bob Marley. Ganja man pull a whitey and think he gonna die. Ganja man be rushed to high and he. Ganja man crying like a little baby. Ganja man given mug of hot chocolate by staff nurse. Ganja man grounded for 3 weeks. At home he become masturbation man. Nearly end up in hospital again with his new friend Henry the Hoover.
Because everybody thinks they know what they're in for with OCD. They're like, oh, you're sad because you can't stop washing your hands. Wrong. Every time I get an Uber, my mind is like, you should kiss the driver. Why don't you lean forward and tenderly kiss the Uber driver? Why don't you search his mouth like an anteater? I don't think I want to do that. Yeah. I've got a bright idea. Why don't you flick your lit cigarette into that busker's guitar case? Yeah, you could do, yeah.
I don't know what it is about old people getting scammed. They just get scammed. Constantly. For some reason, when they fucking get that call, hello, this is the president of the world. Oh, hello, Mr. President. Thank you for calling me. I'll send my credit card immediately. I must. Thank you. You ever been hacked? Ever been hacked and sent everyone you know and love porn? Ever done that? My auntie, Janice, she got a porn from me. She got porn link. She thinks I sent it to her. She thinks I sent that to her. XXX porn, fuck now! Oh, Damien sent an email. It's unbelievable. Can't believe. She thinks I sent that to her. We can't talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't bring it up. I can't double down and pretend I sent it on purpose. Just go up to her and go, hey, what's up, Janice? Fucking, you see that video I sent you or what? It's off the hook. Oh, yeah, she got rammed, yeah. She thinks I sent that to her. I know she saw it too. She fucking acts weird now. She's like, hello. She won't look at me. Hello. Hello, Damien. Good to see you. Hello. Hello. Fucking, I can see the gangbang. I can fucking see it in the eyes. That's a very unique humiliation to our time. That's a very unique humiliation to think that I sent that. Do you know how hard it would be to get that humiliated before the internet? Someone would have to dress up as you and pretend fully to be you and go door to door to your closest friends and family, like, hello, Grandma? Yeah, sure is. It's Grandma, it's your grandson, Damien Power. Oh, Damien, what are you doing here? A college slut's looking to fuck. What? What are you talking about? Ray-Bans 50% off. Grandma. There's MILFs in your area, Grandma. There's MILFs. No, the MILFs are back. It's... I like MILFs in your area because it implies they migrate.
My mom is a pianist, which was funny for a while. She taught elementary school music for 34 years. And I grew up going to visit her classroom, even into college. And one time I was visiting her class. She had a second grade group in there. And she was teaching them that song, 1, 2, buckle my shoe, 3, 4, shut the, classic. She has all the kids in a circle. Circles are huge in the music industry. And she's having them finish, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She gets to 9, 10, and she points to this little second grade boy. She says, 9, 10, and he goes, big fat asshole. I literally had to steady myself on the door frame. I was laughing so hard. My mom was like, Jonathan, you go sit by the door. I was like, not over here, he's killing. 9, 10, big fat asshole? It doesn't even rhyme. This kid's a genius. What was he just saving it up all day for Diane's class? Knowing that the worst that would happen to him was like, Jonathan, you go sit by the door. You're too young to be alone in the hallway, but you're out of the circle. I don't even know how old second grade is. Nobody told me. I'm just like, where did he get that? Was it a dare? I like to think he probably heard it at home or some version of it. But I have a wild imagination, so I like to think it was probably his mom. Saying it to his dad. You've been gone from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., you big fat asshole. I could use a little help. Especially from 5 to 6 when you're probably out sucking dicks. Try to come home again at 3 or 4, I'm gonna shut the door in your big fat asshole face. Oh, Jonathan, I'm sorry you had to see that. That is his real name. I've left it his real name in case he needs to find me.
One of the biggest triggers, though, for people like me and my fairly unique condition of living beyond my means with no sense of recourse is of course, the humble upsell in a shop. I can't resist this. It's predatory behaviour that this still exists, and I've campaigned against it, but it's still there. But it's to a point now where I don't go into shops if I can avoid it, but sometimes it's inevitable. I went down to the petrol station to get some petrol, right, obviously. And I filled up the car and I looked across and some gutless wonder had done a jet snot on that keypad at the pay of the Bowser machine. It's like, oh shit, I can't touch that. That's disgusting. I'm going to have to go inside and speak to another human like a rusty old dinosaur. Pay for my fuel inside the shop. Yuck. But I went in there, right, into the shop and I walked up the counter. The first thing I saw was this big bucket of hockey straps right next to the counter. Really good quality, $5 a pop. So, yes, please. Didn't know I wanted one, but I'm going to have one of them. I'll have the yellow one with a black and blue fleck through it. Thank you very much. And for anyone in here who doesn't know what an hockey strap is, maybe a foreigner has snuck in without my knowledge. An hockey strap, it's a length of elastic with a metal hook at each end that dads used to use on Boxing Day to strap shit to the roofs of their cars while yelling at the kids. Sometimes, pre-nanny state, shopping trolley collectors would use one to remove an eyeball. Back when men were men, I wouldn't have had to explain that. But we're here now, aren't we? But anyway, there it was, big bucket of hockey straps, $5. I said, yes, please, I'll have one of them. And the slinky little opportunist behind the counter, he's seen me coming, the predator. He said, look, you could get one for $5, or you could get 3 for 10. You should get 3 for 10, man. It just makes sense. You never know when you need an extra hockey strap. You should get 3 for 10. But I held strong. I said, look, rack off, you fucking crumb. I'm not in the market for 3 hockey straps. I only want one. And how dare you tell me what does and doesn't make sense? You got some neck. I'm just going to have the one hockey strap, thanks, and the petrol, thanks very much. God bless and have a nice day. And then just got on with my business. So then this is what happened to me afterwards, Rod. I used to work with this guy. I knew him, and he was a genius. And the bar has been lowered on genius, don't worry. There was a time when to be a genius, you'd have to do something quite noteworthy with your brain. Not anymore. Now you can just set up a power tool to do something it wasn't designed for. And all your dickhead mates will look at you at lunchtime, sit down and lop the top off your tin of tuna with an angle grinder and call you a fucking genius. It's insane. This is when I knew things had changed, right. Some workmates and I go down to the beach in the morning before work for a dip. And in the winter months, it gets a bit frisky, making it more of a challenge to go to the toilet in the ocean. So I started before going in. I'd just sit on the beach and just pee in my shorts and then go in. And for deliberately wetting myself, my boss called me a genius. That's when I knew the goalpost had shifted somewhat in terms of what constitutes a genius. But this particular genius, right, he's one of those extra fridge in the garage alcoholics. Like a proper worm to the tomb polluter. And he'd set up a 4th television in his house so he could watch the cricket while he's on the toot. And never miss a ball. And all his mates, they catalogued that 4th television thing as an act of genius. That's insane. And this pube on the soap's name was... His name was Wayne. So it's like already Wayne, which is a ticking time bomb to death by misadventure. His parents had looked down on him as a baby in the hospital and thought, how do we knock 30 plus years life expectancy off our beautiful, healthy baby boy Wayne? I know. Give me a pen and the birth certificate, I'll sort it out right now. Put an extra Y in the end. And like a lot of premature death candidates, an extra Y somewhere in the name will do the job. And then the clock was ticking on Wayne's life. And it gets said a lot about tortured artistic geniuses that they often die in their 20s, but then so too do alcoholic car enthusiasts. And Wayne was no different. When he was a tender 29 years old, Jesus wanted Wayne for a sunbeam. Wayne went off to be with the Lord very soon after his de facto had taken off with the dog and the car in one hit, causing all his friends to say that Wayne died of a broken heart. Although the coroner did suggest that a drunken high-speed quad bike ride on a dirt road at midnight with no lights or helmet were contributing factors.
There is someone who I'm trying to emulate, by the way. It's not just like doom and gloom. I have like a hero who has a good time, who I'm trying to follow and learn from. I heard about him from a friend of mine. He's like my cool friend. He goes all around the world going to techno concerts? Recitals, techno recitals. I don't know anything about that. I read big books about the Second World War. We're different guys. So he goes all to the techno recitals, and he was telling me about a techno venue in Berlin called Berghain, right? Now, Berghain, it's like a 5-story former industrial site, originally very much a sort of gay BDSM techno club, and they've expanded their remit to almost any BDSM. And you can queue up and stuff, but you can't like pay to skip the queue or pay to get in. It's very exclusive in a way money can't buy. It's very trendy, very discerning. Obviously outside there's a guy dressed as a tramp. Oh, I wish I was being fisted by a Hungarian man. Anything to enhance the fun inside. And when you go inside, it's like amazing techno DJs and like people like having sex and doing drugs. It's like the apocalypse in there. And he's telling me all about it, and I've got nothing. Oh, it sounds like Sicily 43. I got nothing. And he says there's a guy who's quite well known, and you meet him in the sort of gents' toilet, right? And what he does is you go in there, and he has sort of tied himself up under the big trough in the loo, yeah? And if you go to the loo for a wee, this guy will ask you in English and German very politely if you wouldn't mind, sir, perhaps considering having a wee on him as well, because it's his favourite. And if you say no, he's like, no worries, you have a good night. You know, it's all very civilised, in context. And he is known colloquially as the Piss Goblin. And you can Google him, Piss Goblin Berlin, as I did, seconds after this conversation finished. And I don't know if there's anyone I currently admire more than the Goblin. I really mean it. Even as my friend was describing the Piss Goblin, I was thinking, now here is a guy with no questions left. This guy knows who he is. This guy knows what he wants. Piss. But it's a big deal to know what you want, isn't it, out of life? There's a lot of people in this room who don't know what they want yet. This guy's got it nailed down. He knows what he wants, and he goes and he gets it. Even if you're sitting here and you know what you want, have you got it yet? The Goblin has. The Piss Goblin knows what he wants. He goes and he gets it. Where does he get it? Somewhere he is safe and known and accepted for who he is. There's no one in this room as fulfilled as the Piss Goblin. He's the freest man I know, and he's chained to a urinal. I can't imagine the inner strength it gives him, knowing that all that stuff's just figured out. He's out there now, some regional German civil servant. He's filling in report after report into Autobahn maintenance, you know. His boss is a real dick. Wo sind diese Berichte? Schnell! And he's like, I'm doing them, my God! Oh, roll on, Freitag. Oh. Lieben für das Weekend, recht? Ja.
My point is, things have always been changing, haven't they? Like, for the entirety of human history, things have been changing, and there have been people complaining that things are getting worse, while by and large, things have constantly been getting better. And I know it doesn't feel like that at the moment, the world at the moment, it feels a bit sad, doesn't it? But, you know, things have basically been improving, and there's just been people constantly moaning about it all the time. I mean, you know, in 1658, there was someone saying, have you heard of these doctors they have now? Society is going down the toilet, which, incidentally, we haven't invented yet. But when we do, I'll be totally against it. Well, why should we have to go to the doctors? In our day, when we got sick, we would just say a prayer to God and then promptly die. And can you imagine the outcry in 1701? Yeah, you've guessed it. In 1701, when Jethro Tull... A few more people getting it now. In 1701, when Jethro Tull invented the seeds drill. It's all very well for you to sit there laughing about it smugly. You're familiar with the seed drill. Wouldn't be surprised if you've seen hundreds of them. At the time, people they'd have been in a riot state about it. They'd have been saying, "Oh, I think it's disgusting." And then to add insult to injury, only 8 years later, some bastard invented the piano. What's next? The clarinet? Yeah, it was the clarinet. As the order was C drill. Are you concentrating on this? The order was C drill, piano, clarinet. If you learn nothing else tonight, learn that, memorise it. And in 1785, when Jean-Pierre Blanchard invented the first working parachute, as opposed, obviously, to a non-working parachute. But actually, when you think about it, a non-working parachute is literally anything that isn't a working parachute. For example, a table. That would be an example of a non-working parachute. A pair of reading glasses. A faulty parachute. That's another one. Another example. And a concrete breeze block hurtling onto the fast lane of the M6 with a 14-year-old head attached to it. And it's interesting, isn't it, that the people who are against change, the people who are afraid of change, they hate it in every context, don't they? Everywhere there's change, they're against it. They hate it in every situation, except one, climate change. Yeah, they don't mind that, do they? Ooh, it's a disgrace, isn't it? You can't say filthy bender bum boy up the arse anymore. Oh, the Arctic tundra's melted. Not a problem. And it's ironic, isn't it, that the Christian right, they believe so strongly in fossil fuels, but they don't actually believe in fossils. And the word trigger. Nothing triggers these people more than the word trigger, does it? Oh, you've been triggered, have you? In our day, we just said we were a bit upset. In our day, we didn't have mental health. We would just get angry. And either punch someone in the hip or struggle for years with unresolved emotions. Alienating one's family slowly over decades, whilst consistently putting down your adult daughter. Until everyone you loved loses interest in you and you die alone in a hostel in Ashton-under-Lyne. We wouldn't get triggered. Yeah, you're right, it's a silly word, but I'm not sure it's your principal problem, Derek.
The whole thing of worrying about looks for women is getting worse, and I hate it because it's not a personality trait. And I was a really ugly child, so I know how horrible people are to you when you're not cute. I had big, thick milk bottle glasses. I had a mullet, and I had a moustache by the age of 10. Big old moustache. Everyone in school bullied me. Must ask you a question. Must ask you a question, badger girl. Whenever I cried to Mum about it, she was like, they're just jealous. They're just jealous, darling. Are you just pulling random parenting advice out of a book? Jealous of what? Jealous that I look like a Cuban revolutionary at the age of 10? Now, I especially hate when you're a woman going about her day, not even thinking about how you look, and a man feels the need to comment on your beauty. I'm talking about catcalling, but I feel like catcalling isn't that bad in Scotland. I think because Scottish men have an innate sense of Scottish women's tendency towards sudden violence. But I was walking around London recently, during the day, minding my own business. I walked down an alleyway. A man came out of a sexual health clinic straight away. I'm not making eye contact. And I could just sense he was going to say something. He went, Hey, beautiful, wanna suck my dick? Some of you are baffled by this, but there's definitely women in the audience, yeah, you've had that happen to you, right? Any woman that's had this happen to them will know there's no point getting angry at the man. There's no point saying anything. I was eating some chips at the time he said this, so as soon as he shouted at me, I knew what to do. I started to silently spray the chips I was eating out my mouth, maintaining direct eye contact the entire time. Is this beautiful now? Women in the audience, that's what you have to do. Make your catcaller regret they ever said a word to what is clearly a very disturbed individual. I'll stop at nothing. I've had guys shout at me out of passing cars for a laugh, and then the car will pull up in traffic and I will snort into my hand and drag it down the windscreen. Still want me to cheat up? My boyfriend's always like, oh, Fern, you're gonna die in a knife fight with one of these men. Good. Maybe then I'll become the patron saint of catcalling and people will start treating it like an actual problem. I'm just tired of it. And I'm very tired generally. I've been tired for the last 2 years and I don't like complaining to you about it, because it's unprofessional. So as a life hack now, anytime I'm extremely tired, I'll go, no, Fern, no. You think you're tired now, but think how tired you'd be if you had a baby!
I had a kid come up to me at work. He said to me, he was like, Lewis, when were you born? Which is a polite way of saying, when are you going to die? I said, 1995. And his eyes lit up. He got like, the biggest look of excitement came over his face. He was like, oh, and this is truly what he said. He was like, oh my God, you must remember, you would have been around for, he would have been around for, you would remember the screaming goat. And I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about, man? And then he explained it to me, and when he explained it to me, I actually did remember. Some of you obviously remember. The Screaming Goat was one of the first viral YouTube videos, one of the first videos on YouTube to go massively viral. All it was a video of a goat standing in a paddock, and it just went, ah, ah. That's a perfect rendition, by the way. Google it tonight, you'll be like, fuck, he nailed that fucking screaming, ah, ah. You might remember this chapter in the saga. Some genius took the audio of the Screaming Goat and clipped it into a Taylor Swift song. So it was like, I knew you were trouble when you walked in. Now I'm lying on the cold, hard ground. Ah! Ah! And to this kid, that's a monumental moment in human history. He was so intrigued. He actually said, he was like, what was it like when it dropped? It was crazy, man. I wasn't gonna lie to him. I mean, we all remember it was fucking hectic, wasn't it? It was intense. It was actually dangerous. It got out of hand. Everyone just running through the streets. Do you remember that day? Oh my God. Ah, ah! Pandemonium. People lying in the middle of the road reenacting it. Now I'm lying on the cold hard ground. Ha ha! I've actually lived through some pretty significant shit, mate. Major historical moments, you know? I saw heaps of shit. I saw the double rainbow dude. I saw succulent meal or whatever. I remember when Charlie bit the other one on the finger. I've seen heaps of shit. Genuinely though, I actually have, you know. I remember Corey Worthington's party. I remember when Hot Dogs turkey slapped that woman on Big Brother. To me, it feels like just yesterday that guy on A Current Affair was like, rah, 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 rah. That's my Screaming Goat, man. That guy was barking like a dog on TV before the Screaming Goat was a glint in the algorithm's eye, brother. I got a bit sad about it. I went home that night. I was like, as if that's what this kid wants to know about. Of all the historical moments that I've been alive for, that's what he's fascinated in. It made me misanthropic. I was like, that's a sad thing. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe I'm not giving it enough credit. Let's check, you know? Maybe it's better than I remember. Maybe I've misremembered it. So I Googled it. It's exactly the same. It's more exactly the same than I thought it could be, the Screaming Goat. And then I got a bit obsessed. I don't know if you do this sometimes. Like I got into a bit of a rabbit hole. I wanted to find out who posted it for some reason. I was like, who posted the original screaming goat clip? You know, it went so viral. Who uploaded it? Found out it was a kid in Europe, right? Teenager in Europe. He posted the video. But then I found out it's not even a real video. This blew my mind. This kid, right? He's just mucking around. He took a video that already existed of a goat, right? That was already online. And then he just downloaded it, muted the audio, and then he got one of his mates or something to go, He re-uploaded that, and then everyone in the whole world was like, how funny is this goat? And at the time, all these animal experts, vets and scientists went online and said to everyone, hey everyone, just so you know, that's not a goat making that noise. Goats can't make that noise. It's definitely not a goat. And everyone in the whole world just went, fuck off, it is a goat. We want it to be a goat, so it is a goat. And now we all think of it as a goat. I started thinking, maybe this was a more impactful moment than I gave it credit for. We live in a world now where truth doesn't matter as much as it used to. Reality, facts, these things matter less and less. Politicians lie openly. They don't even pretend like they're not lying. Countries commit war crimes. People are like, that's a war crime. They're like, we didn't do it. But there's footage of you doing it. Yeah, well, we still didn't do it. Maybe the screaming goat was the birth of the post-truth era. That was the moment, as a society, we decided it doesn't matter if it's real, it doesn't matter if it's a goat or not, fact or fiction, truth or reality or not, it doesn't matter. That Taylor Swift remix, that's like the anthem of misinformation. This is what I realised. So I went back into school the next day, I went straight up to that kid. I was like, mate, I'm so sorry I laughed at you. You're absolutely right. That was a pivotal cultural moment, and I said to him, I said, fucking well done you for noticing that. And he was like, he's quite young, he was like, oh my God, you just swore. And I was like, no, I didn't. And he was like, you did, I heard you. And I was like, well, you're being anti-Semitic. Because if all else fails, you know.
And I have to say, and I don't really know how to reveal this, but I've got a few kids, they're all fucking boring. I know, none of them drink, none of them take drugs. Where have I gone wrong? And I think what's happened is they've rebelled. You know, kids rebel against their parents' culture. That's all right if your parents are conservative, straight and boring. They've rebelled against my having it large culture. Yeah. So you know at Christmas when you get a bit of cocaine in, right? Even if I haven't had any throughout the year, get a little bit at Christmas. It's like a family tradition now. Get a bit of bootros in, as we call it, bootros, Garley, Charlie. So at Christmas, my kids come round, they're all grown up, they bring their kids, I'm the granddad. I have to go into the bathroom of my own fucking house to do my Charlie in secret. But last year, even I thought I might be getting a bit too old for this shit. I looked down, I was actually chopping up my Charlie with my senior citizens rail card. I know. You see how boring my kids are? One of my daughters, she's fantastic. You know, I don't know, you have ideas, you have hopes and dreams for your kids, and they don't always see them through. I wanted her to be in a band, or be a sort of punk poet, or run a left-wing bookshop. She's in digital fucking marketing. But this is how boring she is. She phoned me up, this was during lockdown actually, so she was a bit younger. And she brought up the subject of drugs. And she went, Dad, I went, yeah. She went, you know cocaine? I went, of course I do, my darling. Why do you think you've always lived in rented accommodation? And she said, what's it like? I went, what do you mean? What's it like? She went, when you take it, how does it make you feel? I went, no, I know what what's it like means. What I don't understand is why someone in their 20s is asking someone in their 60s what cocaine's like. I've got to tell you, my darling, you've turned out to be a real fucking disappointment. I still get, when I fly, which is rare these days, I still get the random search, right? Which is obviously drug-related at my age. Now, for example, fairly recently I went to South Africa to do the Cape Town Comedy Festival. Very privileged, only white acts on. It was absolutely a brilliant experience. Although I have to say, a little bit tricky for me going to South Africa. And you can laugh at me rather than with me on this one, because I am still boycotting South African products because of apartheid. I bet there's people in there that don't even know what apartheid is. It was that long ago. And I think what it is I'm one of these people that hold on to my political grudges. I think a lot of old people do that. No matter how outdated or unfashionable they become, you're still there, that's who I am, that's what I believe in. And my kids laugh at me, and I get that. But I think what's happened is I've turned into a modern version of my granddad. And I'm sure some of you remember this generation of British boycotters. He refused to buy Japanese stuff because of what happened to our lads during the war. And we laughed at him. But he kept it up till the day he died, which was in the late 1970s, which meant he had fuck all in his house. No fridge, no radio, no television. I doubt he even had the means to know the war had ended, the silly old sod. Then here I am doing exactly the same thing. But you know, when you're white in English, how far back do you go with this stuff? What, croissants after 1066? I'm not going to IKEA till the Vikings say they're fucking sorry. So I got the random search twice. That's not random, is it? You get it on the way there, you get it on the way back. That's not fucking random. And it's very difficult when you're older. You know, be prepared for this. People on authority, they're all younger than you. You can't even take them seriously. He's pulled me over. I have to go through the process. I've done it so many times. And he looked at me and he went, "Did you know, sir, that it's illegal to bring drugs and firearms into the country?" Who in here doesn't fucking know that, right? I thought, why is he speaking to me like I'm a bit of a fucking imbecile? So I went, fucking hell! It's illegal now, is it? This must be the Brexit thing kicking in. I think you should put a sign up for something as important as that. Now you've fucked up all my gift ideas. Then he brought out the drug sniffer dog. Now, I've never been sniffed up by a drug sniffer dog in my life, given my previous lifestyle. Comes as a bit of surprise. So I thought, oh, this is going to be good. And immediately, I looked at the dog and I thought, wow, when I was younger, and maybe got up to a little bit of mischief, I always thought if ever I was going to get nicked by a dog, it'd be a German Shepherd. There's no shame in that, is there? Cocker fucking spaniel. How humiliating would that be to be nicked by your nan's dog, basically? But then I had a brainwave. I thought, hold on a minute. Drug sniffer dog, what a great pet that would make. You'd never lose your drugs ever again. And you'd always know where to buy drugs. Just take your dog for a walk. Although on a sadder note, when they finish their careers and end up in Battersea Dogs Home, you think, well, the other dogs in there treat them like grasses and nonces in the nick because they work for the old bill, don't they? Hey, the fucking Rottweilers want to see you later, mate, all right? I was just going to say my drug of choice has changed, but now it's a drug of necessity. Painkillers. I don't know if I'm the only one. Most people I know that are over 50, certainly over 60, are on painkillers now because they're suffering from what my doctor calls, and I've got to tell you, this pisses me off, wear and tear. Wear and tear. It's a bit generic, isn't it? I want something with a Latin name, don't you? I said, can we call it wearers tearers? It sounds more serious, isn't it? So I wake up in the morning with me wearers tearers, as I'm sure one or two of you do, and I found a cup of coffee, a couple of painkillers, just takes the edge off the day. But it's actually harder to get painkillers than cocaine. What kind of world are we living in? Cocaine, 30 minutes on the phone. Painkillers, they ask you lots of questions before they hand it over, don't they? You wouldn't get a cocaine dealer doing that, would you? Are you on any other medication? Hey. When they do that in chemists now, start going, of course I am. What do you think I am, a fucking lightweight? Do you operate heavy machinery? I went, do I sound like a northerner to you? Yeah, I'm in my lunch break, mate. I've got to get back on the spinning jenny in 5 minutes. I'm from London, we've got fucking computers now. Why are you asking me these questions? And they went, well, here's the thing, sir, after 3 days of taking these painkillers, you could become addicted. And I thought, who would look at my face and think, that bloke needs advice on drugs and firearms? I said, don't worry about me. I must have been part of every youth culture, every drug-related youth culture since the late 1960s. I must have sampled every drug we've all ever heard of. You tell him it's going to be now, then? At my age, after 3 days of taking Nurofen, that's going to be the thing, is it, that finally and eventually pushes me over the fucking edge? Put me wife on the game to feed me habits, sell me blonde kids to Romanian gypsies, yeah. It was all going all right, so they brought that Nurofen Plus out. That's what fucked me right up.
So you can't just bash nerds anymore, can you? And it's fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a thug. I don't want to. But they've gone from being bashed to being revered in a very short time space. And I just think nerds would do well to remember what the inside of an S-Pen tastes like and adjust their adult behaviour accordingly. And I don't want to come out too hard on nerds either. I don't mind nerds. They're fine. There might be one here. I don't know. Some of them look like us now. But I think it's an equation as old as time itself, though. If you take a nerd and you empower them, you're going to end up with a pervert. But now, thanks to the information superhighway, nerds can just meet other people online and then procreate as a result of that. Nerds, they used to have to build, solve or invent something and use the requisite cash to purchase the love of a woman. Now they just use trickery like the rest of you and meet people online, leaving their spare time free to reenact fictitious battles between witches and dragons and whatever else it is that's now acceptable for modern men to be doing.
I once had to apologise to the entire country of Australia. The whole country. I'm not just talking about the people. I'm talking about the flora and fauna and the kangaroos and the wallabies and the witchetty grubs and the koala bears and all the other animals that keep a little spare animal down the front in case they get a flat. I don't know. But all these, I had to apologise to all of Australia, but they were very mad at me. All right, I'll tell you what happened. What happened was, there was an Australian actor on the show, a friend of mine, a gentleman by the name of Guy Pearce. Do you know Guy Pearce? Yeah, he's a great actor, Australian. So Guy Pearce was on the show, and we were just dicking around, guys being dudes, and he was going, oh, Scotland's rubbish, mate. And I was like, Australia's rubbish, mate. And then I crossed a line. I said that Canberra, the capital city of Australia, was a festering shithole. I know I shouldn't have said that. I don't know, I've never been to Canberra. I should have said it is allegedly a festering shithole.
Everyone's terrified of offending. You can't offend Australians, you can't. You tried. You tried with Outback Steakhouse. You tried. Fuck you, America. How dare you? How dare you? Just a fabrication franchise throughout your entire country. That's a complete mockery of my whole culture. And you guys are totally fine with that. Are you totally fine? What the fuck is a bloomin' onion? I've never heard of that in my life. It's a staple dish at this establishment. You all know it. It's a deep-fried onion the size of a football. It's what they eat. It's what they eat down under, you know? We don't call it down under either, by the way. We're there. We're there. We don't call you up, over, or whatever you are.
So I was in an airport, and it was Abu Dhabi airport, and I was on my way out of the airport, and when I was on my way out, an Abu Dhabi security guard pointed at me and went, "You come here." Obviously not in my accent. In the Abu Dhabi accent. I'm not going to do the Abu Dhabi accent. Also, it'd be a difficult impersonation to do because we don't really know that much about Abu Dhabi. Like, all we tend to know is it's a corrupt regime and the difference between rich and poor is huge. So I'll just make him English. So the Abu Dhabi security guard
pointed at me and went, "You come here." Hop along, oh boy, gonna search your bags, don't mind if I do.
And he opened up my suitcase and he took out a bottle of CBD oil. CBD oil, if you don't know, part of a marijuana plant, but it's legal here because it's not the fun bit of the plant. But the way they see it in Abu Dhabi is very different. He went, "Oh dear. Drugs." And I couldn't deny it was drugs because the label had a picture of a dog wearing sunglasses. And at this point, I'm shitting myself because we also know about Abu Dhabi, not very lenient. And the other thing I thought was that, oh my God, because I felt so embarrassed because I thought of all the things to go to jail for in Abu Dhabi, CBD oil. What made it worse, right? It was vape liquid. So uncool, right? I smoke e-cigarettes and I think I'm a fanny. I'd rather get 50 years for having cigarettes on me that were illegal, because at least it'd be a bit sexy, you know. I think cigarettes are cool, man. You can chat somebody out of a cigarette. You can be like, "Hey, have you got a lighter?" What can you do with an e-cigarette? Do you like the smell of custard? Abu Dhabi security guard took the bottle of CBD aside. I'm now thinking, uh-oh, what else is in my suitcase that's illegal? Because I know that that's illegal. I know that I'm illegal. It's the first time in my life I've ever been worried that I packed a twink. And then he took out prep pills. Right, prep pills, if you don't know, right, a couple of people know what they are, right? Prep pills are pills that you can take that stop you from contracting HIV. Oh, I love telling straight people. Because they might not say anything, but you can see it in their eyes. They're going, "Are you telling me the gays defeated God?" It's amazing. You feel so arrogant during sex, couple of pills before, looking at the ceiling going, "Yeah, God, your ill isn't going to work on us anymore. Sorry, Satan, we'll be late." All you need to do is you take 2 pills 1 hour before you have sex, which is a long time to wait in the park, but we're working on that.
There's also people out there that review cat food. Here's the kicker. In character as their cat. Like, if you look it up, you can look it up when you get home, like Fancy Feast website. There's like reviews and they're like, "Every morning I go over to my bowl and I'm so excited to eat my Fancy Feast." It's fucked. And I assume they're writing it in character as their cat. Otherwise, Fluffy is a weird woman.
And when I grew up in Scarborough, I was always desperate to leave it. And I wanted to move on to bigger and better things. And then as soon as I left, I realised what an incredible town it is. And I was proud of it. And I always wanted to do Scarborough proud. I always thought if I ever make it in this town, when people think Scarborough, they'll think funny, they'll think Paddy Young. It sounds right. Sounds like the way things were going for me until New Year's Eve last year, just as the fireworks were about to go off. Does anyone remember what happened? A walrus, yeah. It was the first time a walrus had ever been seen on the Yorkshire coast. It was incredible. So we all got a bit closer to the walrus, then the walrus got a bit closer to us, then we got a little bit closer, and then the walrus started masturbating. Did you know that walruses masturbated? I didn't, no. No. Little bit offensive, if you ask me. No. Shutting all the tabs in his pocket. Oh my fucking God. Shut down the subreddit, boys. He's got us. Well, I didn't know that they masturbated either. I didn't know they masturbate, but they're not normally in Scarborough either, so I don't know if this guy's just a bit of a Jack the Lad, turns up, wanks where he wants, goes home. Incredible. They cancelled the fireworks, he brought his own, my God. The line from the council was, they stopped the fireworks because they didn't want to cause the walrus any more stress. Now, I'm not an expert on walruses or stress. He looked fairly relaxed to me. He looked like he was about to have the nap of his life. The whole town enjoyed it. It was great. The elderly, the kids, we all learned something. It's a great evening. But in the wake of it, this walrus has become a bit of a viral sensation. People have enjoyed the video across the world. If you Google Scarborough funny, it's not Paddy Young. It's that fat, juicy cock. Lolloping about on our shore. It's so unfair. Like, look, I was a teenage boy in Scarborough. Like, do you realise how many wanks I must have had up there? Millions, probably. Never even made it in the Yorkshire Press. He's on the front page of The Guardian. I was keeping that water salty way before he crawled out of it.
I feel very lucky nowadays. I've got really lovely friends. And I feel very, very lucky for that. Because I grew up without many friends at all, really. I found making friends at school very, very difficult. And I think it's because I was hiding who I was. I couldn't really be myself. I was always on edge. I was worried that people were going to find out something about me. So I never really had any mates. But don't worry, there's not been any sort of lasting damage. It's not like I've got to go on stage 5 times a week to make strangers laugh, to make me feel full. It's not like that. It's not like that. Once a week, it's not like that. You don't need to worry. There was one girl at school that picked on me every single day. She picked on me every day. Now, I mentioned before, I know I'm not a super famous person, I've got a low level of fame, but occasionally I pop up on the telly. And every single time I pop up on the telly, this girl that picked on me the whole way through school slides into my DMs. Like, oh, hi, Suze, how are you doing? Great to see how well you're doing. I saw you on Mastermind last night, well done. Oh my God, next time you're in Portsmouth, me and you, we should go for a drink. Like, yeah, we should, it'll be arsenic. She was horrible to me. But now, because she's started following me, I've started following her. And apparently when you follow someone you don't like, it's called hate following. Everyone that's just laughed are the bitches in the room. They've just really outed themselves. Hey, that one that clapped is the queen bitch. No, don't worry, I'm not knocking you, I'm doing it too, okay? It's not big, it's not clever, okay? But it means when you just go on their page occasionally, just go, I fucking hate you. Done up your lounge, have you? Grey. Is it? Living, laughing, loving. Are you? Sailing Dunelm. Was there? You know. Bitchy. But I've now become slightly obsessed by her life. It's not growing up. This isn't a suggestion. Don't do this. I'm just telling you what I've done. A lot of her posts are about her husband, about how wonderful he is. She's got this wonderful husband. And it's not because they're straight. Like, I love straight people. You heard that before. Mum and Dad are straight. I love straight people. And honestly, some of my best friends are bisexual, so I do love straight people. But she put up these pictures of her husband, all in black and white, being like, he's the salt to my pepper. He's the bread to my butter. He's my light in the darkness. He's my husband. And I know it's not going as well as she's pretending, because I know that last year in Ibiza she gave a waiter a blowy. So I know it's not going as well as she's pretending. Sure, I shouldn't have written underneath, but she shouldn't have started the nickname Rough Muff while I was still a virgin. We learn, don't we? We learn, Lacey. I shouldn't say her name, we're recording this. Can't like that. I obviously didn't write it underneath. I'm not that brave. I did the classy thing. I screen grabbed it and popped it in a WhatsApp group. I did the classy thing. But she constantly tries to virtue signal. Now, I'm not talking about people sharing important information that we all need to learn about. She is constantly wanting to tell people that she is a good person, because she is the devil. She's constantly trying to tell people that she's a great person. One of the ways that she does this, and I've got to be very careful with this material because my audience are always lovely people, so I mean it with love. But she needs to let everyone know that her pets are from a rescue centre. I'm just going to say one thing. Once you've rescued your dog, it's just your fucking dog. You don't need to refer to it as a rescue dog. It's just a dog. It's your dog now. You've rescued it. Well done. We're all very proud. She does the same about her cats. Look at my cats. Look at my adopted cats. Look at my little adopted cats. I adopted all of them. If I hadn't adopted these cats, they'll be out on the Edgware Road turning tricks. Look, I adopted these cats. All cats are adopted. Even if you paid for your cat, you adopted your fucking cat. No one is birthing cats. No one's having a litter of cats. If you are, leave this show, go to the Natural History Museum, it's just down the road.
Now, look, I'm trying to manage my mental health problems in the healthiest way possible, because I can't do what all my friends are doing, which is just managing them by taking drugs. All my friends are just taking marijuana and magic mushrooms. And look, I know that these things have medicinal properties, but the reality is this. My friends did loads of drugs in their teen years, 20s, and early 30s, when you're supposed to do them. I did fuck all drugs. I never macro dose, so I can't now micro dose. They know what drugs are useful for them and what amounts they need to do in a way that's medically helpful. And I've done fuck all drugs. Listen, I have smoked weed, but so much less weed than you think I have based on my haircut, beard, and taste in music. And apart from that, the only other drug I've taken is MDMA, which I've taken on 2 separate occasions at music festivals. The first time was in 2012. I was with my friend Liz. I thought, Liz is going to take it. And then when she was taking it, she said, listen, OK, I'm not pressuring you to take this MDMA, but if you take it, I will look after you. And I thought, I've known Liz a long time. I really trust Liz. This is as good a time as any for me to try this. So I took the MDMA. Within 5 minutes of me taking the MDMA, I would say Liz regretted that offer more than any she has ever made in her entire fucking life. Because within 5 minutes of me taking the MDMA, I was this close to her face, and I was just saying, Liz! Liz! It's not working! Liz! It's not working! Liz, I think I've broken drugs! I kept shouting, I think I've broken drugs, with my pupils the size of saucepans. Imagine being in Liz's position and trying to come up on MDMA while a man who looks like a fire-damaged waxwork of comedian Jason Mantzoukas is repeatedly screaming the phrase, I think I've broken drugs. And the second time I took it, I did have a better time, but only because my friend and girlfriend dusted it into my beer like giving a dog deworming medication. And apart from that, I have done no other drugs. I have never taken cocaine, which I imagine will be a great source of relief to every single person in this room, because no one has got to this point in the show and is thinking, this guy needs to do some cocaine. I actually think he would benefit from talking faster and more intensely about himself, his opinions, and his emotions. Never taken cocaine, never going to. You can't start taking cocaine at 39. No story that ends well involves the sentence, and at the dawn of his 40s, he embraced the cane. But when I said to my friend Matt, I've never taken cocaine and I'm never going to, the only thing he said was, with that nose, what a waste. So look, I'm trying to deal with these problems in the healthiest way possible. I'm doing so much therapy, and it's going real bad. Oh, it's going bad. But that's not my therapist's fault. I need to make that clear. My therapist is an incredible person and a very, very qualified mental health professional. The problem is with me and the little thing I like to call my personality, right? My personality, the problem with it is that I'm an incredibly unfortunate combination of unbelievably anxious, but also phenomenally arrogant. So, this is how my therapy process goes. She, a mental health professional with decades of experience, will say something to me. Out loud, I'll say, but in my head, I'll think, I don't think that's true. Then, a month later, something will happen, and I'll think, oh yeah, she was right! What a pro! Everything that's wrong in the way that I interact with my mental health journey can be found in events that take place between the end of January and the start of March last year. So, at the end of January, she diagnoses me after about 4 years of working together with a generalised anxiety disorder. The next week, I come back to therapy and say the one sentence I imagine medical professionals must dread hearing the most from their patients: I have done some of my own research.
And I said, I've actually come to the conclusion that it's good to have a bit of an anxiety disorder because it keeps you aware of your immediate surroundings and the threats that might be contained in your vicinity. And she said, you have no understanding of the basics of this condition. What you are describing is a spidey sense from Spider-Man. And she said, anxiety is not about being aware of the threats in your vicinity. It's being worried about things that have happened or will happen. If anything, it keeps you more vulnerable in the moment because you're never present in your body because you're worrying about things that have happened or will happen. And out loud I said, and in my head I thought, I don't think that's true. Then, 5 weeks later, at the start of March, I found myself off to New York for work. I land at JFK Airport, I get a taxi back to my friend's flat where I'm staying, I get out of the taxi, I speak to my girlfriend for 10 minutes, and at the end of those 10 minutes I say, okay, I better go inside and hang up the phone. As I hang up the phone, that is the moment that it occurs to me that I have left my fucking passport on the seat of the cab, a cab that has long since disappeared into the New York night. Now, if my anxiety was keeping me aware of the threats in my vicinity, surely it would have been aware that the most crucial document in my possession was on the seat next to me where I placed it, unbelievably, for safekeeping. But in reality, I was somewhat distracted, being very worried about a faux pas I'd made at a drinks event in 2011. So I was not, shall we say, in my body. Unfortunately, the passport has gone. The grammar fans in the crowd will know that means it's become something that has happened. Therefore, it comes back into anxiety's purview, and I start doing what everyone with an anxiety disorder in this room does, which is vibrate with rage, and then immediately start beating the shit out of myself. At one point, I said to my own reflection, what's the point of you? Which I think we can all agree is an unhelpful overreaction. Then I thought, okay, I'm on my own in this apartment, I'm freaking out, I just need voices in the room. Let me just hit play on whatever the next podcast is on my podcast app. Unfortunately, the next podcast on my podcast app was an hour-and-a-half long interview with John Oliver. And at one point, I sincerely thought, I bet John Oliver never loses his passport. And as if that wasn't insane enough, the next thing I thought was, and this is why you'll never have his career. That's not why I'm not going to have John Oliver's career. I'm pretty sure John, a man who I've met once and have now immediately jumped to first-name terms with without consultation, has his career because of hard work and talent, not based on his ability to retain documents. I'm pretty sure that once a year, John Oliver is just walking down the road and someone jumps out and says, hey, Oliver, where's your passport? And he says, right here. And they go, wow, have another Emmy. I'm pretty sure that's not how, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. So, the next day, I get up. My girlfriend, much calmer head in these kinds of situations, has found a UK consulate in New York who can issue me with a temporary passport. I'm going to have to go home immediately and lose a month's worth of work, but I am going to be able to get home. Now, I swing open the front door of that block of flats, and what greets me in the street is little short of a miracle, because stood directly in front of me is the taxi driver from the night before, and he is holding in his hands my fucking passport. Listen, if you're applauding that, wait until you hear what he did, okay? So this guy drops me off on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I'm his last fare of the night. He drives an hour and a half back to where he lives in Jersey. When he finishes that journey, he does what he does at the end of every shift, which is clean his cab. He then finds my passport and doesn't do what any of us, including me, would have done under the circumstances, which is think, fucking hell, I'll deal with that in the morning. He got back in his taxi, drove back to where he had dropped me off, slept in his fucking car for 2 hours, and then waited for me in the street for 45 minutes. His name was Prince. To me, he will always be a king. And when he told me... when he told me what he had done, I said, Prince, why did you do this? I so appreciate that you did this, but why did you do this? Now, some background. The thing you need to know about Prince is his family's Indian. He's from Punjab, my family's from Kerala. In the cab ride over, we talked at some length about our shared Indian ancestry and upbringing. So when I asked him why he'd done it, he said this to me. At the end of the day, I thought, I'm Indian, this kid's Indian. I don't want an Indian kid running around New York without a passport. I know how scary that can be. And in that moment, yeah, I realised something genuinely profound. Racism is incredible when it benefits you. Because based on the look in Prince's face, if that had been a white guy's passport, he would have immediately frisbeed it into a New York City sewer, whipped the bandana off a Ninja Turtle while shouting, that's for giving one of my jewels to that woman. And look, because this really isn't a character, I went on stage that night at a comedy club in New York and retold this story exactly as I've told it to you. Now, at this point, a woman asked a question. I think the only relevant question that's worth asking at this juncture, which is... Did you pay him? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. It is correct. Also, thank you for not asking the question 10 separate people have asked, which is, do you have ADHD? I know you fucking cunts have been sat there thinking that this entire story. The first time someone said it to me, I thought, rude. Then, at the 10th time, I thought, I should look into this. I said to my therapist, do you think I have ADHD, or do you think everyone thinks everyone has ADHD now because of the internet? Do you know what she said? Yes to both. And when I said why, she said, because I sent you a referral to an ADHD specialist a month ago and you still haven't replied to the email. So thank you for asking that question. And thank you for not asking the question a man in Raleigh, North Carolina asked me, which was, which Ninja Turtle? That motherfucker definitely has ADHD. Also, of course, it was Leonardo. It's the funniest if it's Leonardo. So anyway, listen, well, I did give him money. I gave him $1,000. I went and got it out of a bank. I couldn't even go to an ATM. I had to go into a bank and speak to a fucking human being like it was goddamn 1997. I went into the bank and I said, listen, can I get $1,000 out of my account? Here's my debit card. And the guy said, listen, for that amount, I'm going to need to see some photo ID. I said, no problem, because by that point, my passport was stapled to my fucking hand. I gave him $1,000. Now, let's not be crass about this, but let's be honest about it. You know how much you paid for a ticket. You can see this room is full. So you know it is no skin off my dick to give this guy $1,000. I've never said that before. I can't believe... I can't believe the filming is when I chose to ad-lib no skin off my dick. Jesus fucking Christ. It was truly no hair off my ball bag. Look, you can tell it's fine. You can tell it's fine for me to give this guy $1,000, right? You understand the maths. Now, what I would say is in a random New York City comedy club, there was less of an awareness of my financial situation or wider body of work. So when I announced that I'd given this man $1,000, immediate audible suspicion broke out in the room as people just started loudly saying, how did this man have access at that speed to $1,000 in cash? Is he a sultan? Is he a drug dealer? Is he one of the ones that owns Manchester City? There was huge speculation. I heard the speculation, became defensive, and find myself saying, I'm actually very famous at home! At which point, a woman sat right in the front row, puts up her hand and says, I'm from England and I've never heard of you! So look, I'm trying to deal with my mental health problems. I'm listening to my therapist, sometimes a month after she tells me things, but I am listening to her. And she and I have been working together for nearly half a decade now. I initially started seeing her because I was behaving weirdly. That turned out to be symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder due to a period of time where I was receiving death threats and was the subject of hostile articles in the right-wing press in this country because they said I was saying dangerously left-wing things. You know, like racism is bad and women are nice. You know, that sort of dangerously left-wing stuff. We dealt with the PTSD, and now we're just going backwards through the timeline. Christopher Nolaning this motherfucker, Oppenheimering this bitch, hopping around the timeline. We dealt with anxiety, we're gonna get to depression, we will get to ADHD when I remember to reply to that email. But one of the first things she said to me was this. I said, listen, I'm having trouble sleeping. That's not an uncommon thing in my life. When there's something going on, I often am unable to sleep. And she said, how much exercise are you doing per week? And I said, because I think exercise is fucking boring, and I think people who talk about it with too much enthusiasm shouldn't be allowed to have children. I really believe that. Okay? Listen, I know that we want to pass on the genes of our healthiest people, but at what cost? The cost of interesting conversation. And I said this to her, and she said, I don't care. I'm not opening a conversation with you about exercise. I'm telling you, you have to exercise for your physical, but also your mental well-being. And I was saying to my friend, how the fuck am I going to exercise? I'm fucking bored of exercise. And he said, why don't you come and play football with us? My friends meet every Tuesday and play football. I said, I love football, but I'm bad at it. He said, we're all comedians. We're all bad at football. So come down. And I started going. And lo and behold, I fucking loved it. For 3 years, I was doing 90 minutes of exercise per week. Now, I know that that is not enough, but that is an on-average increase in my life of 90 minutes a week. Then, in the summer of 2023, I suffered a terrible sporting injury. I broke my little finger. Now, That's not supposed to get a fucking laugh. That's supposed to get, like, a little bit of sympathy from the audience that I then... No, don't patronise me now. It was supposed to get sympathy, and then I throw the sympathy back in the audience's face when they find out the slapstick fucking way I injured myself. Based on how much people like you fucking laughed at just me breaking my finger, when you find out how I did it, you're gonna spontaneously combust in a cloud of jizz. Okay, get ready. We're about to lose audience members because the way I broke my finger was that during a game of football, I sat on my hand. Oh, everybody's jizzing everywhere. It's like Pompeii up in here. I will tell you the full story, okay? I was playing football and I was in goal. Everyone has to go in goal for 10 minutes. That's how the rules of five-a-side football work. No one likes it, but everyone does it. I'm playing in goal and my friend is bearing down on goal. And he goes to shoot this way, so I start to crouch down. At the last minute, he cuts across the ball, so he goes across my body, and I managed to flip my body weight in the opposite direction and save the shot with this boot. I want it known that I fucking saved the shot, okay? And the reason I want it known is it was the high point of my sporting career that was followed by the low point of my sporting career. Because I've done so little exercise in my life, I think I've got some muscles I've never used. So the speed of me doing this caused me to pull a muscle in my neck. I fell backwards like this, and then landed with my full body weight on my little finger via my arse. I broke my little finger with my own arse, which doesn't even make sense because my arse is thick, juicy and delicious. However, I didn't realise that I'd broken my finger. This is a public service announcement. You have fewer pain receptors in your fingers and toes than you do in other parts of your body. So if you think you have badly bruised your finger or toe, you have probably broken your finger or toe. Now, I did not realise this, so I was just plastering it out myself and going about my business. 3 days later, I found myself on the set of a television show, and a medic who's there for insurance purposes says, "Can I help you with anything medical?" I say, "Ooh, yes. Can you tape up my finger properly, because it's badly bruised?" She takes one look at my finger and says, "That finger is broken." And I said, "It's bruised!" She said, "It's broken." I said, "It's bruised!" She said, "It's broken." Are you noticing a pattern emerging here with me and medical professionals? At one point I said, "Listen, I know you're a medical professional, but at the end of the day, you're white, I'm Indian, medicine comes naturally to my people, okay?" It occurs naturally in our bloodstream like midichlorians and the Force. And she said, and I don't think this is a textbook-approved phrase, "That finger is fucking broken." And I went in search of a second, browner opinion. Unfortunately, one was not available due to the fact that I was in a place called the Isle of Wight, which, if you've not been, is, as the name suggests, they are delivering on being an island of white people to the extent I think is where they make them. Just assembling them in factories with Mumford & Sons blaring out over the PA system so everyone comes out that extra nice crusty white. So I went to see a white doctor on the Isle of Wight who did a white x-ray on my brown hand and said, "Yeah, that finger is broken." It turns out the medical professional knows more than the man who drank his way to a joint honours degree in history and English literature. But then she said this, "Listen, when I say it's broken, that's actually a misnomer. What I mean is it's dislocated." Now, this is a good thing because it means it's an easier fix. All I have to do is pull it out and pop it back in again. I said, "Fantastic, Doc, let's get this show on the road. I need to be back on the set of this TV show. The people need entertainment." And she said, "Do you want any gas or air?" And I said, "Why? I'm not a fucking prego." Because that's the thing about toxic masculinity. It flares up sometimes for no reason. It's like athlete's foot of the very soul. And she said, "Do you want any pain medication?" And I said, "Let me summarise the events of the last 3 days for you, Doc. I broke my finger and then have just been walking around like this the whole time without even realising it was broken. What does that tell you? It tells you I've got a very high pain threshold." And then I fainted. I fainted, to be clear, not when she pulled on my finger. When she touched my hand, the thought of her pulling on my finger caused my brain to go into immediate shutdown mode. I pass out on the floor of A&E in the Isle of Wight, and then I learned something about myself. I learned that I'm arrogant on a subconscious level. I know that I'm arrogant on a conscious level. Horrible to understand, it extends to my subconscious, as I found out when I attempted to style out a faint as soon as I regained consciousness. She did this, "Mr. Kumar, Mr. Kumar, Mr. Kumar." And the first thing I said was, "May I help you?" As if she had inconvenienced me. So then by this point, I'd landed on the finger and broken it even worse, so I had to come home and get it operated on. And now it bends like this, but apart from that, it's absolutely fine. Now, listen, this is supposed to be where this bit of the fucking show ends. Then, on the 1st of October last year, in the middle of the UK leg of this tour, something happened. I was back playing in my regular game of Tuesday football, and I was running back into my position. I'm a defender. I'm a defender. I was running back into my position, and out of the corner of this eye, I can see that my friend is about to take a shot. I think he hasn't seen me. I could just spin my body this way, stick this foot out, and knock the ball out of his path and prevent him from taking the shot. Now, I am correct about all of these things. I spin this way, stick this foot out, knock the ball out of his path, prevent him from taking the shot. Here's what I don't prevent him from doing, starting to take the shot. This man swings into the space where he thought the ball was and crashes studs first into the top of my foot. And all I can think in that moment is, I don't think that is bruised. And I'm only telling you this, Hackney, because I consider this story to be one of great personal growth. Because what did I do? I immediately went to hospital. I went to hospital and had an X-ray done on my foot, and the doctor came out and said, yeah, you've broken your toe. Now, when I say you've broken your toe, that's actually a misnomer. What I mean is you've dislocated your toe. Now, this is a good thing because it means it's an easier fix. All I have to do is pull it out and pop it back in again. And then she said, do you want any pain medication? And I said, I want every piece of pain medication you have in this hospital. Here's what I want you to do. Get all of it, put it on a table, split it in half. Take the first half, shove it down my throat. Take the second half, ram it up my arse. While we wait for those two groups to meet in the middle, I want you to inject me full of whatever killed Michael Jackson. She said, lidocaine will suffice. She injects my foot with lidocaine, it goes numb. She pulls it out. Pops it back in again. And then I had to wrap my foot in a bandage, and for the next month, I had to do shows sat on that stool, thus failing to fulfill 50% of my job description as a stand-up comedian. But then after that, it was absolutely fine. And initially, I was reluctant to tell either of these stories on stage, right? Because it doesn't feel consistent with my personal brand. This is not how you, my audience, the fuming, disgruntled leftists, want me to have injured my neck, hand and foot, is it? You want me to have injured my neck because I was nodding too vigorously at a Naomi Klein op-ed piece? You want me to have injured my hand and foot because I was banging on the table while stamping on the floor and shouting, injustice is bad! But then I had to think about it and I realised nothing other than these two stories could be more central to the core of my personal brand, because ultimately, a summary of both is that I hurt myself quite badly by turning too enthusiastically to the left.
I was raised in an era where every TV show was based off taking a woman shopping and forcing her to have a makeover she didn't want. I just think I knew more than I did. Do we remember this amazing era? It was the era when any woman, no matter how broken she was, could have everything fixed by one trip to River Island with Gok Wan. She'd arrive on screen and be like, so my partner left me and my house is on fire and I don't have a job and turns out I don't have a vagina anymore, so it's fucking mad. And they'd be like, oh, yellow chunky waist belt? She'd be like, yes! Such a good time. It was the same era in Britain where every woman believed, and I say believed with no sense of irony, that if we ate 2 bowls of Special K twice a day for 2 weeks, we'd lose a jean size. Okay, that is actually the reason we don't have equal pay. It's because we don't deserve it. We're such dumb bitches. It's embarrassing at this point. I love makeover TV shows. I genuinely love them. Like, I miss them being on TV. We've only got a couple left. You know, my friend, she thinks the reason we don't have makeover TV shows anymore is because we don't need them. Because everyone is perfect just the way they are. That's like isn't that so nice? Like, I'm just dying saying it. Like, it's so cute. It's so cute. Like, you are perfect just the way you are. I love it. It's not true. I mean, I have a mirror. I can see myself. I have eyes. I can see all of you. We all need a makeover. And I'm not just saying that physically, of course not. I'm talking mentally. Of course you should always version of yourself, a kinder person, a more generous person. You should always want that. It's just, I take it a little bit further. Sometimes try and become a different version of myself, a whole new person. I'd say I've been doing this since I was 14. Once a year since I was 14, I've wanted to be a new person so badly that I've just freaked out in the middle of the night and panicked and cut myself. A fringe. I'm so aware I should say fringe. So much faster there. It's just like, and I love the tension. Also, come on, I'm 30, I have cut myself, but only for attention, so it's genuinely super chill. Do we know the fringe I'm talking about? This is a very specific fringe. I am not talking about a fringe that you go to a salon and pay to get done. I am talking about the fringe that you cut for yourself at 2 a.m, listening to the entirety of the Les Mis soundtrack. You want to be a new person, but you don't want to put the effort in? Ha-ha! Fringe it is! I love this fringe. I still do it yearly, because I'm a moron. And I forget that I have naturally very curly hair. So I cut it in the middle of the night, like Miz is playing. My hair's wet. It's amazing. Just looking at myself like, Helen, you've done it. But inevitably, Les Mis ends. And my hair dries. And it bounces up into the maddest row of ringlets you have ever seen on a woman in your life. Which was fine, right? Back in the day, I clip it back, I'm Lizzie McGuire, I'm crushing the game. It's different now. Times have changed. There's rules to fringes. Like, the higher your fringe, the worse your mental health. It is such a clear sign things aren't going right. You have got to be so careful. I'm only doing it once a year because I have this vision in my head, this dream of like, me with my new fringe, looking amazing, walking down the street, running into my ex-boyfriend, and him being like, oh, who's the angel with the fringe? And I'm just like, ha, it's me, it's Helen, love me! How amazing! I should make it clear that is literally never gonna happen. Like, ever. This is always a bit tricky to say, but when I say ex, I am referring to a guy that I refer to as an ex. But he and does not refer to me as an ex. He refers to me as someone who just hung around him a lot for a long time. But I'm like, well, I was in love and I got my heart broken, so I'm counting it as a relationship. Thank you. We've all had that relationship, right? When you were like, we're in love. You just missed it. It's a tricky relationship to do. I was in one of these relationships for so long and I was just walking around to my friends like, you can't meet him, but it's super serious. It's a relationship. Some of you might call that lying. Yeah, lying. I'm a liar, okay, I'm a liar. But I'm damn good at it. I'm a good liar. And do you know why I'm a good liar? Because I learned from the best. Because my mum, such a good liar. My mum's incredible at lying, incredible. I do want to go into my mum. I just want to check and see if anyone's got a similar mum to me in. I've got a very classic British mum where if I have a headache, she'll have a brain tumour. Always going to be one step ahead with her dramas. My mum's amazing. She only lies to protect herself, which I think is important. She just takes it that one step further. In 1997, my mum did the best lie. Now, do you guys remember 97? It was like the best year ever. Like, Diana died, Titanic came out, it was incredible. Also, do you know that some people think those two events aren't related? In 97, my mum found herself in that classic situation where all of her friends got together to go and see the film Titanic and they didn't invite her. Which sucks, right? Like, it's awful, that feeling of being left out the group, but it happens to all of us and then usually you move on. But what was awful was the following Monday, my mum was with all of them at the school gate and they were all talking about the film and how amazing it was, how much fun they had. And then one of them, Rosemary, Don't even get me started. She was like, oh, God, oh, we're so wicked. We didn't invite you, did we, Anne? My mum won't be embarrassed, Lord no. She said, I was invited, I just didn't want to go. Good lie. Solid lie. Self-preservation. Leave it there. My mum is a creative. She kept going. My mum said she didn't want to see the film Titanic because it would bring back too many memories for her. Because in a past life, she was on the boat. Which is too strong a choice of a lie. A lie she sticks to this day. If I play Celine Dion, she's like, Helen, I will have a flashback. No, you won't! She's one of these people. Do we all know someone like this? Like, it's definitely mental illness, but it's early in the show, so we'll call it kooky. She's a bit of a kook. She's a crazy kook. Like, my mum's best friend is a woman she hired to be her clairvoyant. Whose name, by the way, is Trish. Look, I don't want to slag off any Trishes. I love a Trish in general. They're amazing. A Trish can do many things. Like, a Trish can get divorced, she can go Mallorca, she can have stepkids, she can have a chat show. A Trish can thrive. A Trish cannot speak to the other side. But my mum is in love with Trish, because Trish has told my mum, you are correct, Anne. You do have ghosts in your new build next to Fleet Service Station on the M3. Okay. And the reason, Anne, that you can tell they're there is because you have powers. Because you are, in fact, a witch. Okay. And now Trish needs to meet me and my little sister, because apparently the women in our family are in a lineage. A lineage of witches. Now, look, I don't want to argue with my mum and Trish. I have learned, not a good idea. The curses. But I do agree. I agree with them slightly. Like, the women in our family, we're in a lineage. We're in a lineage of poor mental health, bad relationships with men, and oddly angled vaginas, 100%. But it's also like, screw it. If we're calling it witching, I'll join the coven. Hand me the hat! Bit of drama. I've got a dramatic mum. I know a lot of people think they have a dramatic parent, but I know my mum is the most dramatic. 'Cause when I was 6 years old, my mum decided, with no prior training in this field whatsoever, that she was going to run a drama school from our living room. All she did was change the family voicemail service from hello, you've reached the Bauer family to hello, you've reached the Bauer family and the Anne Bauer School of Drama. 'Tis a confident choice. Because she was teaching kids, like little 7-year-old kids, in our living room, whilst me and my dad and brother and sister were just on the other side of the door in the kitchen, looking at each other like, is this legal? Are we serious? Like, but we figured it was fine, right? She just needed a degree to teach kids. She needs a pashmina and a brooch, and she had both. Also, she's teaching 7-year-olds drama. It's a wonderful thing to teach them. You're teaching them play and confidence. Like, every 7-year-old around the world learning drama is being taught the same way, right? You get your group of 7-year-olds all together, like, come on, babies, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's do a scene. We'll do a fun little improv. Let's say it's your birthday, happy birthday, and everyone else, you're at the zoo, and you pick a different animal, and just lose your mind. Just have fun, play with it, and you walk around and look at all of them. What a fun scene. Should we do it? Let's do it. That is how you teach drama to kids. My mum was teaching it more as a sort of therapy for herself. Because she'd get her 7-year-old, just one at a time, and be like, okay, sweetheart, come on, Layla. Let's do a scene. You're a middle-aged woman. Somewhere in northeast Hampshire. Let's say Fleet. Your family does not understand you. Your husband is emotionally unavailable! You have a migraine. Play out the scene. How? Right? How would a 7-year-old play out that scene? The answer is I did, and I did it very well. I was in the drama school! Obviously I was in the drama school! Not my brother and sister, just me, 3 nights a week in my living room. My mum taught me everything, like, the first boy I ever fancied was in the Bauer School of Drama. My mum found out I fancied him and she was like, oh my God, amazing, let's do a couple sex scene, Helen. And I was like, oh my God, okay, why not? Let's give it a go. And then she played the woman and I watched to learn. If we had an argument at home, she would make me improv it in class the next day for everyone else. I played ungrateful, secret-eating daughter so many times. I believe it's called method acting. Yeah, I was method! The weirdest thing she taught me? She taught me how to cry on cue. That was not a skill I needed. I was already crying the entire time. I mean, my mum died in the Titanic before I was born. I have genuinely been through so much. I'm just a crier. I'm an emotional woman, like, and I love crying. And when I say crying, I'm not talking about, like, a little cry, not like a baby bird cry. I had a friend, she once cried because she said her boyfriend loves her too much. Go fuck yourself! If you're gonna cry, you do it with some goddamn dignity. When I cry, I go for it. I do what's known as the life cry. Do you guys know the life cry? It's a cry when you cry about everything that's ever happened, everything that's gonna happen, everything that's happening in that moment. Even though technically nothing's ever happened, it's gonna happen, nothing's happening in that moment, but you're just like, oh my God. Cara. Life. I cry, you call your best friend, can we talk? She says yes, but you can't face it, so you hang up for the attention. Okay, some of you might know it as depression, like chronic depression. Interesting, okay. For anyone not getting this cry, I can best describe it as the cry where you really get the lyrics. To Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah. Even though it reflects our lives in no way. But you're just like, oh my fucking God. Shit. She tied him to the kitchen chair. She broke his throne. And she cut his hair. Oh my God. Did she give him a fringe?
And it's quite odd that I've got this obsession with memory because, not to keep bringing it up, but I do have a boyfriend. And we've been together for quite a while now, but for the first 6 months of our relationship, he had severe short-term memory loss. Yeah, legitimately, that 100%. Just full short-term memory loss, to the point where he basically couldn't create new memories, which is the perfect foundation for a new relationship. And it was, by the way, before I get into this, he's fine now. He's fine, his memory is back to normal, he's completely fine, but for this 6 months, he just couldn't remember anything. And I need to tell you that now, because you need to get on board. And I've written my favourite joke of the show about this, so climb aboard. Essentially, it got to the point where it was so bad that he couldn't remember anything in his day-to-day life, basically. So we'd spend the day together, and then in the evening, I'd have to remind him, like, what we got up to that day. I'd throw in things to make him happy, like 8 blowjobs. And it was just a random medical event. It's not like anything obvious had caused it as well. It's not like he met my sister. And a short time after that, the memory loss kicked in. It was just totally random. But the reason our relationship could still work and it wasn't a full 50 first date situation is his short-term memory was gone, but his long-term memory was fine. And we actually knew each other quite well because we went to school together. He was the teacher. Just kidding. For legal purposes, that is a joke. My boyfriend is not a... What's the male version of a cougar? A predator. I'll tell you, before I tell you more about the memory stuff, I'll tell you a little bit about Sean, because I love him. He's the love of my life. I know that. But he is a nerdy little loser. To give an example, we're moving here to Melbourne. We're on the plane. I see he's using the plane Wi-Fi to search for the phrase Australian singles. Yeah. I was like, what is this bastard up to? We haven't even arrived yet. He's trying to cheat on me in advance. I asked him about it. I was like, why are you searching that? He's like, I'm trying to find a website in which I can buy single Yu-Gi-Oh trading cards. And I was like, that's so much worse. I wish he was cheating. Would have been easier to explain to my parents. I was quite nervous to tell my parents I was in a relationship. I was nervous to tell anyone, really, because I developed this rule of not telling anyone I was dating anyone until it had been about 3 months, because you feel like that first 3 months, it's a bit dicey, you're not sure, and it could fall apart at any moment. And I kept doing that, where I'd start dating someone, I'd tell everyone, I'm like, by the way, I'm dating someone. Then a week later, I'd be like, by the way, never mind. So being that 3 months. Not everyone follows that rule, by the way, but they are stupid. Dear friend of mine, she does not follow that rule. She was in our group chat recently. She messages us. She's like, hey guys, me and my man's 6-month anniversary is coming up. I don't know what to get him. What should I get him? I was like, I didn't even know you had a man's. When's your 6-month anniversary? She was like, September. I was like, bitch, that's 5 months away. Don't get him anything. She's good. No, I do like her. She does have pyramid scheme energy, but... So, it had been about 4 months. I decide, finally tell my mum. I say, I'm in a relationship. Also, he's got short-term memory loss. And I think she was so excited by the first part, she did not give a shit about the second part. So, the first thing that Sean was trying to do at this time to try and solve this problem was he was trying to get an appointment at the memory doctor, which is a thing. And he couldn't get an appointment because they were fully booked out, which I thought was very funny. Because I was like, surely you could just turn up. I get the feeling some people might miss their appointment for the memory doctor. And I still maintain to this day, I feel like the memory doctor was a little bit of a scam, okay? So each session with the memory doctor cost $400. 2 weighted blankets. $400. You had to have multiple sessions. If you did not turn up to a session, they still charged you the full amount, and they did not send reminder texts. Yeah. But joke's on them because Sean forgot to pay. I was optimistic at first. I was optimistic for the memory doctor. We finally got an appointment. We get into the waiting room. We sit down on the couch, and it's memory foam. I'm like, these guys are good. They don't miss a trick here. But then it quickly I became unsure. The first thing the memory doctor got Sean to do was a depression test. And, he's not feeling depressed at all at this time, by the way. In his mind, he's getting 8 blowjobs a day. He's living his best life. Has anyone done it? I know this is a weird question to ask, but has anyone done a depression test before? Make some noise. Woo, yeah. Yeah. Someone did a yee-haw, like less so. The only reason I'm asking that is because I've done it before, and I just want you to back me up that there's a weird question about halfway through the depression test, which is, how indecisive are you? Then you've got to choose between 1 and 10. Like, I'm there the whole time, like, oh my God, I don't know. Anyway, he does the depression test. The results come back. He has no signs of depression. This is where I was like unsure about this guy. He was like, okay, well, it doesn't seem like you're depressed, but we're just going to give you some antidepressants anyway, just in case. And I was like, oh, like it feels like antidepressants are so useful, they're so helpful. I've been on them before. I think they're an amazing resource, but they're not just like a just-in-case thing, I feel. It's not like pop them like a Barocca in the morning, just in case. But he goes on them anyway. He goes on them for a few months and he's noticing no difference. He's just kind of getting the side effects and not really any results. His memory is still gone. And I go, finally, after it's been a while, I think we should get a second opinion. And I believe that. I believe that opinions are like assholes. Better to have two. I thought this with therapy. Like, when I had my first experience with therapy and it wasn't good, I didn't know that you could just get another therapist. I thought that would be like cheating. Like, I had to pretend that I was like, oh, I'm cured, by the way. Because it's so hard to find a therapist in the first place. The way you do it, if you don't know, good on you. But well done. But you weren't attacked by a golf club. And what you do is you Google therapist near me. You know, I don't want to travel. And you go to a website and it'll be like just like a bunch of random strangers' faces, and you go, oh, you look happy. And then you read their bio and it's just a list of all their favourite kinds of trauma. You're like, you seem fun. My first experience with therapy was not good. It was this lady and she was very spiritual. And I think spirituality is great if you are spiritual. I'm not. I'm very logical. She was very namaste. And I was like, I don't want to stay. She would do this thing where I would be like, oh, I'm feeling angry about this. And she'd be like, what colour is your anger? And I'd be like, I don't think that way. And she would press me on it. She'd be like, you have to participate. And I'd be like, okay, red. And she'd be like, you're making so much progress. I was like, no, I had just recently watched the movie Inside Out. I was just imagining those little guys running around. The other thing she'd do is, as she was talking to me and asking me questions, she would cross and uncross her legs and basically show me her entire crotch. It was very distracting. She'd be like, what colour is your anger? I'd be like, red and lacy. She'd be like, when did your problem start? I'd be like, the Bush administration. So after about 6 months of all of this happening and Sean not getting better, I just bring him along to my GP just to see if she has any other ideas of what it could be. And it was just like our first moment of hope. She listed off a bunch of different things it could be, but she's like, well, first of all, you've had a blood test, right? And he's like, I can't remember. So Sean goes and gets a blood test. The results come back, and it turns out he was severely B12 deficient. He's a vegetarian, and get this, he stopped eating eggs. That's what caused the deficiency, and in turn the memory loss. Like, he was on antidepressants, but it was eggs. Eggs can be life-changing. I wish you guys could have been inside my brain when we found out it was eggs. I was losing my mind. I was like, it was eggs this whole time. You know that girl in your friend group that's like, I just need my Sunday brunch. Believe her. She's on to something. So Sean had to get a B12 shot, because when you're that deficient, you can't just slam an omelette. Like, you have to get, like, what I assume is the yolk just injected directly into your veins. I'm not a scientist. So the doctor was like, you'll notice a difference right away. And I would say within maybe 2 minutes. It was crazy. He was holding a polystyrene cup of water. The B12 went in. He crushed the cup in his hands and said, I'm so powerful. It was like he'd acquired all of the Infinity Stones. It was amazing. He was just fine. Like, he just basically, within the week, it was slowly sort of getting better and better and better until his memory was back to normal, and it was just so absurd. And since he got this checked out and since he came to my doctor, he also opened up about a couple other things that he's been struggling with. He's realised he's lived his entire life with ADHD and not known. And he's given me permission to talk about this, by the way. I'm not just laying out all of his medical history. I did ask him on a no-egg day, But that made me so sad for him as well, because imagine having ADHD and severe short-term memory loss at the same time. Like, he was just wandering around his house being like, well, I think I'm hyper-focused on something. And it's so weird for me, because I always thought, because I'd been single for so long, I thought I was single because I had really high standards. Then this shriveled little man came into my life. I was like, come to mama. Got myself a little do-up. You can't build a man, but you can renovate. So that 6 months of his life, still a blip. Still can't remember that 6 months, which is strange because we started dating at the beginning of that 6 months. So in his mind, he was just in a medical clinic. A girl he went to school with wandered in and went, I'm your girlfriend, by the way. Don't question it. Little memories come back here and there sometimes. Like if it's a repetitive thing, he sometimes goes, oh, I've remembered something. He remembers one thing, which was every night before he went to bed, he remembers walking past the kitchen, looking at the toaster and seeing cold toast. So what would happen is every morning he'd get up and be like, toast for breakfast this morning. Go about his whole day, go, all right, bedtime. Fuck. Kind of like an involuntary low-carb diet. Like, if you want to get rid of bread, first get rid of eggs. So we've since looked up the memory doctor online and seen his reviews. 1.5 stars. We should have known that the eggs were going to be better just on reviews alone. We spent $1,200 with this guy, 3 sessions, $1,200 for him to give us no valuable information. Apart from randomly in conversation, he recommended these kiwi fruit ice blocks. And they're so yummy. Kiwi fruit, or as we say in New Zealand, fruit. They're so yummy. And I had one the other day and I was like, I think it was all worth it. So he was on antidepressants, but it was eggs. I guess Big Pharma wins either way.
I met my boyfriend through a friend, but it wasn't like in a gay bar or on Grindr. Gay bars in Glasgow, though, like they tend to be more intimidating than in other cities. Like if you go to a gay bar in Glasgow and you drop your phone, you're just gonna have to kick it home. The thing is, it's also like during lockdown, it's a difficult time to get in a relationship because you're trapped in the same house. It's like The Shining every single day. And we had arguments, because every couple argues, unless you're creepy. You know those couples that you meet, they never argue, and they glide up to you at parties being like, we never ever argue. You're looking at them and you're thinking, one of you is going to be on the news someday. But I'm trying to do that as well. Also, because, like, you know what? By the way, in case any straight people are wondering, like, because a lot of my straight mates are like, oh, you're in a relationship with another guy. Oh, man, that must be better. You must just watch football and bum all day. It's like, no, I wish. Every relationship has the exact same dynamic. Whether you're gay or straight, it's always the same dynamic. Every relationship is always made up of an organised person and a disorganised person. And I can see who's in a relationship because you're now looking at each other going, you'd be living in a bin if it wasn't for me. The reason why you get together is because organised people are attracted to disorganised. Because the first time they see them, they fall for a trick. Because they go, wow, they're so laid back. They must have everything organised. And then a few months passes, the smoke screen leaves you, and you're just left going, how are you not dead yet? And by this point, it's too late, because you're thinking, I wonder if I should break up with them, because I thought they'd be organised, but in fact they're disorganised, and I'm having to organise my life and their life. I'm exhausted, I haven't slept ever since I met them. Oh my, maybe I should break up with them. I can't break up with them. I've made plans for us both. It's going to totally ruin that spreadsheet I made for us. But I'm the disorganised one in the relationship. You probably can tell. Big surprise. But you can usually tell, if you can't tell which one you are, organised people usually give themselves away in an argument, right? Because if you're like... Right, organised people, by the way, I love you. But... you're organised. No, I need you. I need you in my life. But when organised people are in arguments, and I'm sorry for this next bit, but in arguments, you're so sweet. I don't want to say anything bad about organised people, and please do. Okay, cool. Fucking bitch. You're American as well, yeah? Oh, cool. I could hear from your accent. Yeah, I know. I love as well. I called you a bitch and you laughed and you're almost in a kind of American kind of thing of, oh my God, Scottish culture. Come on, get on with it and call me a cunt. Come on. In arguments, organised people have this ability that freaks disorganised ones out. In an argument, organised people do the thing of they don't have to argue about things at the time. They can store them up. It's almost like they've got a box in their brain. Oh, I didn't like that comment there. It's not big enough for an argument now, though. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take the comment that you just said I'm going to put it into this box, and then when we have a big argument, that'll be the ammo. There's no room for context in the box, I'm afraid. Intent doesn't fit in there either. I'm getting used to the thing of being in a relationship because I've been single for like a year and a half, and that's what I want. I was like, I want to be in a relationship. I want to get called special by somebody and them not do the air quotes. Oh man, there's one thing you have to learn in a relationship, I've noticed, is when your partner comes home from work and tells you about their day. That's fine. Don't mind that at all. But you know when they start telling you about the person that they work with that they don't like? And the number one rule is you have to take your partner's side. Even though the other person is probably right. But in order for you to take your partner's side, your partner, when they're quoting that other person, will give them the bitchiest voice ever. They'll be like, oh God, you never guess what Sandra said to me today. I was like, hi Sandra, can you please take your stuff out of the fridge? Because it is actually my fridge. And you wouldn't believe what Sandra said to me then. She was all like, that's my injections and I've got diabetes. And I was like, oh, but Sandra, please, it's getting in the way of my sticky toffee pudding. It's inconvenient. And you wouldn't believe what Sandra said then. She was all like, excuse me, I don't want to die today. And you're listening to this, and you're thinking, if you were to read the transcript of that conversation, you'd be like, I think Sandra had a point here. But you can't say that, because who knows what voice they would give to you. That's one of the main rules of the relationship. I never expected as well to go out with a posh person with a job. Well, my mum's very posh. She's a posh Scot. My mum talks like this. If you've never heard a posh Scot talk before, it is like this. So my mum sounds like a whale. She's one of those posh people that don't seem to have any bones. Like, you know the ones you see them like gliding through Waitrose, like. I have to do that again because you won't know what Waitrose is in America. Gliding through the mall. My mum's so I love her laugh though, right? Her laugh's amazing. And I know you're not going to think it's that amazing compared to other ones we've heard tonight. If it was actually just somebody with a YouTube video on repeat of just somebody falling down a well. Just turn the lights on, it's just a truck reversing. But my mum's laugh is so funny, right? Because she only ever gives you one ha, and then her voice is extraordinary. It's just hee. So easy to find her at a party. Hee. Say that's your mum or a carbon monoxide detector. Sometimes you get a few ha's off of her. She'll be going, hee, 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 hee. I can never find her at the supermarket. I've only ever seen my mum like laugh her head off a few times. All the ha's come together very quickly. Like, hee. My dad was sat next to me, goes, Jesus, Mary, you sound like a metal detector. My dad's working class. I actually don't know what I am because my dad raised me working class in a middle class household. Basically, we had a cleaner, but we stole from her. But they are very funny. They've got good banter, my parents. Like, you know that mate, right? My parents are this, right? You know that mate that if they think you're wrong about anything, they'll bet you £10 on it. Being like, oh no, mate, you're completely wrong. Bet you a tenner. They bet on elections, which makes it more interesting when it's not going your way. At least, like, they always vote Conservative though. And obviously I'm not a fan, right? And I did try and change my mum's mind. I was like, Mum, why are you voting Conservative? And Mum was like, well, Larry, when you get older, you become more right-wing. That's why I think the Conservatives never win in Scotland. We do not live long enough. But they are very Catholic, though. That's probably why they vote that way, because my mum and dad are Catholic, and I'm Catholic as well. And obviously not a good Catholic now. Now I'm just an overqualified altar boy. So I hope I didn't offend any pedos in the audience with that joke. Yeah. It's something you have to worry about, is offending people now, isn't it? You have to worry about offending them. And the thing is, I actually wanted to be a squeaky clean comedian for a long time. Genuinely, I really wanted to. Or I can do it now. Right, hold on. I wanted to be this guy. Right, here we go. Yeah, right, here we go. I wanted to be this comedian. I wanted to be a London observational comedian. I tell you what's busy, guys. The underground. Where is everybody going? You could take a car, couldn't you? But a congestion charge, get lost. I was in King's Cross the other day, and I was like, King's Cross? Why doesn't the Queen cheer him up then? London observational comic. Hope you enjoyed him. He'll be back later. By the way, Scottish people, do you know that English people tend to think we're backwards? It's so weird, because when I moved down to England, loads of Londoners were like, oh my God, have you just moved down from Glasgow to London to escape homophobia? Are you a gay refugee in London? As the Scottish people are not homophobic, we've got a rule in this country. It's either you're a good cunt or a bad cunt. Your race, your gender, your sexual orientation doesn't play a part in it. But if you try and make that play a part in somebody else, you're a bad cunt. That's how we work it. It's a really simple system. I think, though, Scottish people just love proving other people wrong. We love it so much. I think we probably used to be homophobic, and then somebody told us that we were. We're like, all right, you think we're homophobic? I'm going to have sex with this man just to prove England's wrong. Oh, flower of Scotland, and will we see? We don't even need to use the word gay in Scotland. We've got... Scottish people have this strange ability. They can describe somebody as a homosexual by using any noun. All right, is that guy a bit of a blueberry? There's a set of maracas over there. English people can do it, but they can only use activities to describe somebody as gay. Be like, oh God, he's the kind of guy who likes to leave the windows open. Oh, Barry loves a fundraiser. Bet you wear your slippers round the house. I moved down to England a long time ago. I moved back and I had to live with my parents again. And oh man, the banter was too much. I had to move out again. See, living with my mum, that's the thing, right? My mum would take the piss out of me, which I'm fine with because I make fun of her voice. Because me and my mum don't always see eye to eye because hers at the side of her head. Whale joke. But my mum loves making fun of my stammer. I've got a stammer. Sometimes I have it. It just comes out randomly. It's trying to see why I'm good at doing voices, because I had to cover up my stammer for ages. And my mum loves the fact I've got a stammer. I was on the phone to her yesterday, right, and she was at the shops. I was like, Mum, are you at the shops? I was like, yeah, I'm at the shops. What do you want? It's like, can you get me a sandwich and a muffin? Okay, I'll get you a sandwich and 23 muffins.
Let me tell you, if you think you've got ADHD, meditation might not be for you. I went on a course to learn to shut my eyes, right? And I meant to do it 20 minutes every day. It's been 2 weeks since my birthday, I've done it every single day. 20 minutes. Every day I'm like, right, today's the day, Suzi, you're going to smash meditation. You're going to absolutely smash meditation. I think I'm taking the wrong energy to meditation. But every single day I try it. I'm like, right, today is the day we meditate, okay. Body form for you. Meditate, please meditate. Meditate. Who shot JR? Why is that just a thing in my head? Who is JR? Autoglass repair. Why is that just in there? Meditate. Who is JR? Is it Ja Rule? Oh, he always sounded like he needed a strepsil, didn't he? Oh. He had some bangers, to be fair. I wonder what Ja Rule does with these days. Probably a producer, I suppose. I wonder what Ashante's up to. Ashanti must be on Instagram. She was great. I hope she made enough money in the mid-noughties to just chill forever. That'd be good for Ashanti. What was that song? Always on time. What is the time? It's been 45 seconds. Fuck my life.
But I think the problem I've got living here and looking so racist is I do attract racist people. They think I'm one of them. Actually, I think they think I'm their leader. They follow me around, pointing at me, probably thinking, look at that, a proper 20th century racist bloke who's possibly been cryogenically frozen in the 20th century and brought back to life now so that millennials can see what a proper fucking racist geezer looks like. Like a heritage racist, if you will. But, you know, image is tricky in this country. It's a minefield. We've established what my image is and what I look like, but, you know, your image has a different meaning depending on where you are, depending on which town you're in. Let me illustrate. You know, if you saw me walking around in East London, you might think there's a geezer you don't fuck with, right? But if you saw me walking around in Brighton... I know. What a transformation before your very eyes. It's a very similar look. Bit of a different meaning. And not a lot of people can carry off this gay fascist combination look, you know. It takes years. I don't just throw this shit together. I mean, during Pride weekend, when London was banged out with gay men on the tube system, I'm jumping on and off the tube doing gigs. I merged amongst them, comedian-like. In fact, so convincing was I thought, if I'm not careful here, I'm going to pull. And if I do, I'm going to need a backstory, aren't I? So I don't get accused of cultural appropriation by the gay community. And I thought, right, What sort of gay man do I want to be if I get the fucking chance? So I thought I'd be an older gay, obviously, there's no denying that, but I thought I'd live in Brighton but have a little interior design business up in London. I thought I'd spend a lot of time at moaning about young gays. They don't know how fucking lucky they are compared to what we used to have to put up with in the 1970s. And I thought I'd still do a bit of MDMA at weekends. That's the sort of gay man I'm gonna be if I get the fucking chance. I'm actually the proud father of a gay son, and that has been an adventure and an education, but most of all, it's just been lovely, you know. And if I could share one thing that I've learned from bringing up a gay son that you might need to know, you never know, and I think it's the most important thing we all need to know, and that is that they are fucking expensive. Oy vey, expensive. I mean, my straight sons, as I now have to call them, obviously, you know what they're like. You give them a football, they fuck off, you never see them again for the rest of their life. Oh, not my gay son, it's fucking Wagamamas, Tate Modern, tickets to Jersey Boys, Taylor Swift concert, sewing machine. On and fucking on with this gay lifestyle. It is costing me a fortune. I should be retired, look at me. I'm having to do these gigs to keep him in the gay lifestyle that he's become accustomed to. I'm not even joking. Now, obviously, you can't always tell the sexuality of your kids. Who knows where people are going to end up? And there's so many options these days. But with him, there was a sign early on. This is how young he was. It was Christmas. We bought him a Bob the Builder set, OK? I'm watching him unwrap it. He's ignored all the tools. He's seen the yellow construction helmet. Put it on his head, started dancing. I rest my fucking case. In case you don't know, gay men are inescapably attracted to construction helmets. It's a scientific fact. They're hardwired for hard hats. I kept all the tools from the Bob the Builder set, however, just in case I have a lesbian daughter at some point in the future. Special moment with my gay son. He's always been very political about his sexuality, and he went on his first Pride March when he was very, very young. And you know what he did? It's so beautiful. He came in to show me his outfit for Pride. It was a lovely moment, but it was also the moment where I looked at him and thought, you're never actually going to play for West Ham, are you? Hey, actually, it seems to me, though, if you're a football dad, it's not a gay son you want, is it? It's a gay daughter. The Lionesses, for fuck's sake. I mean, virtually all gay team. How incredible is that? I wish they'd changed the name, though. I'm not happy with the name, you know. Lionesses. I feel like we're living in a post-colonial world, and here we are still stealing stuff from Africa. Lions. I don't know if you know this, but they're not indigenous to England. I thought, why didn't they show some national pride and use an English animal, for fuck's sake? Weasels. The Weaselesses. I've done my research. They're tenacious. They're very fast over a short distance. They're very community-minded. They'd be brilliant. Listen, I went through every animal. I thought, just don't use beavers and you'll be okay. I used to worry that he might want to come out. Do you know that? Because I'm from a generation where gay people used to have to come out to force the issue. They've got a coming out story. The moment they told their parents they'd be gay, you know, and what happened, I thought, I hope he doesn't want to do this fucking shit, man. Well, I already know he's gay. I'd have to pretend. I wouldn't be convincing. I'd be rubbish, you know. Oh, gay. Get out of the house, you know. Take your construction helmet collection with you. Now what I worry about if he comes out, he turns the tables on us, you know. Mum, Dad, I've got something to tell you. I'm straight. I'll be fucking devastated. I also think, rightfully, a little bit annoyed, actually. You know, you're fucking what? All that money I spent on you because I thought you were gay and now you want to be straight. No fucking way, mate. You are gay. You can come out, but you can't come in. All those hours I spent sitting in Wagamamas. You know I hate Wagamamas. I'm in there, barely able to afford to drink the free green tea because he's in there, ramening it up to the fucking max. But I still could be wrong. You can't always tell with kids, can you? He's only 11.
Before I had a kid, the majority of my day was spent unsubscribing to emails. That was a big day. That's a lot of work, unsubscribing to an email. You click it, it goes, are you sure you want to unsubscribe? And you're like, yes. Well, do you want to manage your preferences? I guess so. Well, you got to log in. Well, I forgot my password. Well, you got to reset your password. All right, we've sent you an email. That's the opposite of what I wanted to happen. You open the email, they're like, here's a verification code. I'm like, what do I do with that? They're like, take it outside. What? Take it outside. There's a man in a robe with a beard. Tell him the verification code and he will give you the sword of destiny. Take the sword of destiny to the tallest mountain and slay the troll. And the blood of the troll will seep down the hilt. Stand on the summit and scream your verification code into the air. And an angel will descend from a cloud. His name is Alessandro. He will wrap his wings around you. And he will hold you close and kiss you passionately and say, are you sure you want to unsubscribe? You'll be like, Alessandro, I don't know how you got my email in the first place. I used to be the guy who opened every email. You know, there's two kinds of people. People with a clean inbox and people with that little red square with 7,000 unread emails. I used to be the first guy because I'd open every email. I'd enjoy every email because every email had a bit of personality. Like if you got a free trial for a streaming service, I like that email because it's a very seductive email. They write it to be sexy, don't they? They're like, hey, big guy, do you want a free trial for a streaming service? I'm like, yeah, I'd love a free trial. What's your credit card? I thought you said it was free. I just want to look at it. Send me a photo. Seductive email. I really like a security alert email. Those are so funny, aren't they? They're so neurotic. You know when you log into an account from a different browser and this security alert email screams into your inbox in such a panic like, oh my God! What's wrong? Someone just logged into your account! Oh my God, from where? From your house! I'm in my house. Are they still there? No, it's just me. They used your laptop. I'm on my laptop. And your password! I'm pretty sure it's me. Are you sure? I'm sure. Here are 9 photos. Tell me which ones are traffic lights. My house is chaos now with a baby, and we have a dog. A few years ago, we took a mortgage out on a cavoodle. If you don't know, a cavoodle is a cross between a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and a bucket of cash. It is a fancy dog. Oh my goodness, we need 3 bowls. We need food, still, and sparkling. It's a fancy dog. Does anyone else have a cavoodle? Yeah? What did you pay for it? 3,000, that's pretty good, right? They can go for like $6,000, these dogs. And they're very, like, affectionate, but also needy. So when we had our baby, my dog was jealous and he was constantly barking. So my son's like crawling into the bedroom, my dog's barking, so I tried the spray bottles, spray water on them for a bit of discipline. That didn't work, he was just loud and wet. My son gets into the bedside table drawers, I'm like trying to stop him, the dog's still barking, so I tried the can of air, you spray air in their face. Great, now he just looks like he's in a Mariah Carey video clip. Hair blowing in the breeze. Then my son gets into my wife's drawer and I'm like, no, that's Mum's toy, don't break that. That would put a lot of pressure on Dad. The dog's still barking, so I'm like feeding him cheese. That's the only thing that stops him from barking, just cheese, cheese, cheese. Then the vet tells me off and says, you can't give the dog that much cheese. I'm like, lady, it's either cheese or chocolate, but that dog has to stop. But the vet tried to tell me, like, it's our fault for not training the dog before the baby arrived. The vet told me, before the baby gets here, take the dog for a walk with the empty stroller so he gets used to the idea of the baby. Yeah, try walking around the neighbourhood with a dog and an empty stroller as people walk past going like, oh. They're not going to let me have a baby after that. This was the craziest day we had. I was changing my son's diaper, and the dog's barking, and I'm just ignoring the dog and focusing on my son, being in the moment. And as that was happening, the dog jumped onto the table and ate a diaper whole. And I freak out. I call the vet. I'm like, what do I do? Vet's like, oh, yeah, that's going to absorb him from the inside out. I'm like, no! So I race to the vet. I'm holding my baby, and then as soon as we get to the vet, they immediately induce vomiting. Not the dog. I just looked at the bill. I'm like, whoa. They pump the dog's stomach. They pull the whole diaper out. I was so relieved. We got in there just in time. It cost $600. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter. I love my family. I love my dog. It's all good. And as soon as we got home, I opened the door. The dog bolted back in, jumped back on the table, and ate a second diaper! So if anyone would like to buy a dog for $1,200 for a cavoodle, that's a bargain.